Doni Jones Live, Doni Jones Live. It's Doni Jones Live, Doni Jones.
Welcome to Doni Jones Live. I am Doni the Tree Lady, and we are talking about faith, family, fun, weight loss, entrepreneurship, and all kinds of cool things today. Today on the show, we actually have an amazing treat. My goal in life is to be able to tell people stories and share good information out there that actually helps people build a beautiful life. And the other day, I was at one of my clients' house, and for those of you that don't know, I own a company called Don's Tree Service, and I was at one of my clients' houses, and I haven't seen her in a while, and when I showed up, I was like, okay, you go, girl. And she started telling me her story. She started telling me about what she was going through and what she'd been through and how she has started out on her own journey of weight loss and entrepreneurship and building a beautiful life. So I wanted to take a moment today to share her amazing story with you. And I am talking about this wonderful lady sitting next to me, Miss Margret Brown. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thank you so much.
You are well. Thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it. For those, obviously, my audience doesn't know you, but can you tell the people a little bit about your story and what I got so excited about?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. So again, I am Margret Brown. I'm in the Atlanta area, and I'm a repeat customer of Don's Tree Service. I am a mom of two boys, almost 12 and 14, so we're in the preteen age, amicably divorced from their father. We co-parent really well. But like a lot of us, I've carried extra weight on me since I was, young, and always just managed to get by without any issues. But as we approach a certain age in life,
that certain age, yes.
Yeah,
we over 30. No, I'm just kidding.
The extra weight just started to cause, pain and discomfort. I didn't really know what it was, but I had, an injury that just continued to get more and more achy, and I just didn't feel good. And I love to travel, and I'm part of a travel group, and we did a lot of walking, and I was always the last one in the back of the travel group. And so I hated that, and I knew that I needed to do something about my weight, but it was always one of those things that was on the back burner. So, at work, I've been corporate since college. I've had a variety of jobs in the tech industry. I saw a woman who had lost weight, and like we all do, I asked her, what are you doing to lose the weight? And she told me she saw a metabolic specialist and got her gut health checked.
Yeah,
and I was
that's so important.
It is, and I didn't know how important it was. And so I made the appointment and I went, and I got the test, which included a swab of the inside of the cheek and a little bit of a hair sample.
Yep.
And when my results came back, I was shocked. A lot of the stuff that I love to eat, like chicken and citrus and a variety of other things, came back that they were causing inflammation, and I had sensitivities that I did not know.
I want to pause right there because I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, and once again, the reason why I wanted to have her on the show is because when I saw her a few years ago, and she's a gorgeous woman, but she was clearly a lot lighter in size, a lot less fluffy, as we should say. And I asked her what she was doing. And the reason why that resonated with me is I wound up having the same situation where I was dealing with a situation with my thyroid. And I was dealing with inflammation in my body. And it's not like I'm sitting here a size 6 right now. I'm gonna get there, but I'm not. But I've lost a considerable amount of weight. And what I found out is that a lot of what I was eating was causing inflammation in my body. And a lot of times there's things that we are eating day to day, and we actually have an allergy to it. So I think that was so important. But go ahead and finish what you were saying.
Right. So we're all a work in progress. I'm about halfway there. I've lost 50 pounds, which is significant, but my goal is 100. So I want to get back to my high school size.
Come on, girl.
But yeah, I just completely changed how I ate. So dairy was on my list. I had to substitute cow's milk for almond milk. Citrus was on my list, so I started eating more apples instead of oranges. Chicken was on my list, so I substituted turkey and other things.
No, y'all, chicken. Now, and for those of you that have followed me for a while, you know that I do eat primarily plant-based, but a little while ago I kind of started throwing a little chicken in there. But prior to that, I was a big time chicken eater. So was that hard for you?
It was incredibly hard at first, but I decided, what really made the change for me is I decided to commit to it and say, okay, you know what? Let's give this a try.
Right.
And when I changed my diet, within the first 2 days, I had not lost any weight.
Right.
But the nagging joint pain in my knee, in my back, just the achiness that I felt immediately went away. Because I had one of those conditions where, you know, when you're sitting for a while, when you first get up and put weight on it, you kind of have to shake it out a little bit. I was like, oh my gosh, I just got used to taking a pain pill. And I didn't like that because then one pain pill turned into more. And I didn't want to have any problems with, you know, what happens when, you know, you become addicted. So I said, wait a minute, I know I haven't lost any weight, but I feel so much better within 2 days. And so I just stuck with it, and the weight started coming off as a byproduct.
But you were primarily concerned about your health first.
100%.
And I truly believe that if we focus on our health, the weight will come off.
It does.
And like with this journey that I've been on, I haven't lost all the weight that I want yet, but I feel so much better.
I feel amazing.
And I think clearer, everything. And I was actually talking to somebody yesterday, and they heard me. I got up, and I actually hurt my knee playing soccer. Because mommy was trying to do too much too soon. And she didn't know that I'd hurt my knee playing soccer. So when I got up and said, oh, my knee hurt, this is what she goes, oh, girl, you're just getting old. You know, you got to get used to those aches and pains. And I just don't believe that.
No.
We are not supposed to go through life with aches and pains.
100%.
And a lot of it has something to do with what we are eating.
It's everything that we're eating. Everything that you eat either helps or hurts. And I know that because when the first holiday came, I don't know if it was Valentine's Day or for whatever it was, I wanted to splurge. And I went back to my old way of eating.
Come on.
When I woke up the next day, I had those same aches and pains again. So I said, okay, this is really working. This is really not just in my head.
It's not a fluke.
It's not. It's not. So I stuck to the plan because I felt better. And the weight started coming off 5, 10, 20 pounds. And, you know, like I said, now I'm at 50 pounds off. And, you know, I'll be transparent, you know, my age, I'm 45, but I feel better than I felt in decades.
I love it.
I feel, people always tell me, you know, you're glowing, you look
You
so...
are. I thought you had a new man in your life, honestly. I was like,
I'm very
okay.
happy.
No,
I'm very happy.
I'm just messing with you.
But yeah, it's changed everything. So this is how I eat now for life. And so the rest of the weight will continue to come off, and that's my story.
I love it. And guys, the reason why I think it's so important to hear Margret's story is because her story is our story. We have a tendency to think that it's only people, like we can only listen to the people that got down to a size 4 in 30 days or whatever. This is a journey. This is an opportunity for us to start changing generations, because right now we've got generations of men and women in our community that are dying for no reason. So I'm telling my story, even though I'm not all the way there yet. We're telling Margret's story, even though she's not all the way there yet, because we're making progress.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's about. You don't always have to look at the scale and go, oh, well, nothing's happening. Sometimes it's how you're feeling.
100%.
That makes a difference.
Because the scale doesn't always move.
No, it doesn't.
I learned that about myself. I will lose inches and then I will lose pounds. And so if I focus too much on the scale, I can get discouraged. So I just kind of see how clothes are fitting. You know, people will notice, hey, your face is slimmed up. You know, just a thing. You know how you feel when you gain weight. So it's the opposite when you lose weight.
Absolutely.
And I agree with what you said, because you know, children learn their habits at home. I love to cook. You know, I'm very much a homemaker as well.
Her house smells good too, y'all. And by the way, we are in her backyard, and we're going to talk about that in the next segment, because you're obviously an amazing, successful woman. You come from corporate America, like you said, but you also are a businesswoman. So you guys, she's making these changes, and she's got other stuff going on in her life. That's important, because you're able to do more and you're able to focus better when you change what you eat.
Absolutely.
Now, have you noticed that in your productivity and with your ability to be able to handle what life throws your way?
100%. The brain fog that we just also get used to as part of aging. I'm a lot sharper. I mean, I've got 2 boys, one that's in Scouts and one that's on a swim team. So I'm a very active mom. I also host an Airbnb suite inside my home. So I have to be, you know, the hostess with the mostest for my guests. I have have a fragrance business. I'm an independent Scentsy consultant, and I work, in corporate. So there's a lot going on. I used to crash when I came home at the end of the night.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
Yes.
Because I just wasn't able to focus.
Yes.
Now I sleep better, I breathe better, I feel better, and yes, I'm able to be more productive.
And I want to reiterate, she has lost 50 pounds, guys. And for those of you that are listening to this on the radio or on the podcast, I want you to, when this show is over, I want you to jump over to YouTube and check us out on YouTube, and also like, share, and subscribe. But the wonderful thing about jumping over to YouTube is you'll get a chance to see that this woman is just glowing right now, and she has a vibrance about her. And once again, we both are not all the way there, but we have made so much progress. And she'd have made more progress than I have, because,
but it's
got
okay.
50 pounds. Not that it's a competition.
No,
but it's not.
But I love to share my story, and I want people to know, and that's why I wanted to do this. Real people can make small changes. It's taken me the better part of a year, so this hasn't been any crash, diet. Like I said, I eat the way that I eat because I feel better, and then the weight just kind of slowly comes off. And I'm expecting, the rest of this year. The pandemic has been an absolute blessing for me. I know a lot of people have suffered.
I want you to speak on that real quick. We're going to talk about that real quick. Listen to what she said, that the pandemic has been a blessing. Because I think that's important. It's about mindset, and you've made some changes to help the pandemic be a blessing. We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Doni. You're listening to me, Doni the Tree Lady, and I am here with Margret Brown. We are talking about her weight loss journey, but we're also going to talk about entrepreneurship and living your best life. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Doni Jones Live. I am Doni the Tree Lady, sitting here with this amazing woman, Miss Margret Brown. She also happens to be one of my customers, and she's also a woman that has lost 50 pounds. And I felt that it was important to tell her story because she's an everyday woman doing something extraordinary. And so thanks again for being on the show. But before we went to the break, something you said struck me. You said what you eat either helps or hurts.
It does.
Could you expand on that?
I love food. I love eating food. I love cooking food. I love tasting new foods. And I do believe food is supposed to be enjoyed. But before we had all this new technology, food was medicine. And I still believe food is medicine. And so, we all know when you eat something, if you kind of like, that was good and I feel good. Yeah. And then you also have that feeling when you eat something, you're like, oh, I should not have done that. Why did I do that? Yeah. And so I've just learned that everything that we put in our body, your body responds to it a different way. And so you're either helping to heal yourself or you're, causing what was in my case, inflammation and joint pain and probably a lot of other stuff that hadn't caught up with me yet. So I definitely believe in the power of food.
Yes, exactly. And going back to what you were saying about mental clarity and your ability to juggle everything.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
When we went to the break, you were talking about how the pandemic has actually been a blessing to you. And I love that because there was a time right in the pandemic where just things were flowing. We're doing more business. Customers are at home, so they're calling me. And so I've got all this joy about the fact that this pandemic has been a blessing, and I'm spending time with my kids, but yet I'm working and I'm able to balance it all. But every time I would hear other people's story, it was always, oh, this is so horrible. The world is coming to an end. Can you talk about how the pandemic has been a blessing for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And, first I will say, COVID touched my family as well. So definitely, condolences to anyone who lost anybody or who suffered. But before the pandemic, like I said, I have 2 boys in 2 different schools. I had a 2-hour commute each way into the city for, a high-power job that was wonderful but stressful. Coming home, picking them up, homework, dinner, bath time, routine, and you're just going from one thing to the next and just trying to keep your head above water. So when they sent us all home for 2 weeks to kind of wait this thing out, and homeschooling with the kids, which has been very difficult for me. I will say that as well. I can't imagine.
I can't do it.
I'm ready for them to go back. But, we were kind of forced to bond and stick with each other. And, like everybody who's kind of struggled with the grazing being at home. I noticed that when you have access to the pantry and the fridge, you start eating more out of boredom and not because you're hungry. And I made a decision. I said, do I want to put on weight or do I want to use this opportunity to lose weight? Because I have to prepare my own food now anyway. You know, all the restaurants and just about everything was shut down. So I really used that to dive deep into my plan. I order my groceries online, they're delivered, and I've changed what I keep in my home, and it's benefited the kids as well. Because now, for example, we'll do cauliflower mashed potatoes instead of starchy. It's amazing. Oh my God, I know you can do so much with it.
Have you done the cauliflower pizza crust yet?
Yes, I made 2 of them.
So good.
I know. It's all on my Instagram. Yeah, I love to cook, and I feed anybody who comes over. But it's been a blessing because it slowed me down. It's allowed me to make a career change. I'm actually starting a new role where I will be working from home 100% of the time. So I'm really excited about that because a lot of places are opening back up again. Yes, I'm vaccinated. Yes, I'm ready to travel.
Me too. Me too.
Absolutely. But I didn't want to go back into that rat race because it was taking away from my mental, you know, health and being the best mother, you know, that I can be.
Well, what would you say to somebody that is still struggling with that? Because I think you've done it so beautifully, and
thank you.
You made that transition. And like I said, when I ran into you the other day, I was like, she's glowing. And there's a lot of people that didn't come out of this glowing. If there's somebody that's listening to this that's in a job that they don't like and they're in that I got to reevaluate my life situation mindset, what advice would you give them?
Oh, wow, that's a tough one. You know, people always ask, well, what do you really want to do? And that's easy to say, but it's hard to answer. I struggle with that, you know, whether it's in career, whether it's in, you know, relationship, whether it's in whatever it is, you know, what do you really want? And sometimes, you know, circumstances force us to make that decision, whether it's, you know, your company's downsizing or whether you're presented with an opportunity. This opportunity that came to me, they found me online and basically made me an offer I couldn't refuse. But it's one of those things where you have to pay attention to yourself and really understand what feeds your soul and what you're doing that you're just kind of like, you know, putting one foot in front of the other and what you're doing that really brings life to you, regardless of what anybody says, you know, and if you're chasing something for the title or the money, but you're miserable, it's not worth it.
No,
and it'll catch up to you, you know, in the end. And so, you know, continue to stay connected, reach out to people, you know, ask questions. I'll be a resource. You know, I love to get back to the community.
Speaking of reaching out to people, how do people get in contact with you? Because for some, and we are going to talk about this, you do a travel blog.
I do.
And you're in a travel group. You're a very well-traveled woman. And she's a brown traveled woman, which is important. I want to see more of us travel. And you've been to some absolutely amazing places. Right. Which I don't know how you keep a weight loss program going on. But with
I haven't done that. Actually, did we go? I did go to the DR. But when I'm on vacation.
Okay, for us slow people,
I'm
the
sorry,
DR.
The Dominican Republic.
Okay, yes, I got it.
That's an easy one. The Caribbean, yes.
Yes, the Caribbean, go ahead.
But when I'm on vacation, I'm on vacation. I mean, I will indulge a little bit. I will never go back to where I was.
That's beautiful.
But I know if I'm going to eat that, I'm going to enjoy it. But it makes me make very selective choices. For example, let's say chocolate. You like chocolate. I could eat a regular candy bar, or I could have an exquisite, you know, triple chocolate dessert. And I'm going to go for the one that's going to be worth the calories or worth, you know, what I'm going to feel the next day. But yeah, I do. I'd love to travel. So to answer your questions, I mean, to get in touch with me, I am on Instagram. It's just Margret A. Brown. It's not really that fancy.
Spell Margret, girl, because you know how we do.
Oh.
we MAGGRETTEE. No,
it's traditional spelling.
Traditional spelling means.
So it's Margret, MARGARETA. BROWN. So my name, Margret A. Brown. So I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I mean, it's not a professional page. It's just kind of me sharing.
But that's what I like about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Food that I cook, places that I've been to. I love photography and I love to take pictures and tell the story about the picture. And then I just compile it and that's my travel blog. But a lot of times people have told me, we feel like we went on vacation with you because I explain, you know, what's happening and what that means. And it's important. I like to take 2 trips a year, one by myself and one with either child, because when they go together, it's not a vacation for me. So I break it up that way. No, it's the truth. It's the truth. So yeah,
I need to strategize and do that. I really do. Because I
Absolutely.
usually take both of them with me.
I can't.
You can't.
I will if I
She just
have
got
to
serious, yeah.
for local trips, but no, internationally, I take one at a time because I really want. My background, I was born in Ghana, raised in the States, so my family is African.
Yeah.
And so it's very important to me.
She's a real African American.
I am. Yes. It's true. But
No, I know. I'm just. But you know,
you're
how we do.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
But my boys are, traditional American, and my boys are biracial, and I want them to appreciate, other languages,
Yes.
other cultures, other accents, other food. I don't want them to ever feel, like, oh, why would you eat that, or why would you wear
Right,
that?
right.
We're all different in our own way, and it's still beautiful to me. So yeah, that's where I share my story.
Well, you also said something earlier in the earlier segment, that you're amicably divorced,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that. How does one become amicably divorced? Because we hear the horror stories.
Yeah, you have to put the children first.
Okay.
And it's a decision that I made. And, I talked to my ex-husband, when we split up, and the boys were 2 and 4 when we split up.
Oh, wow. So they were young.
They were young. And I said, you know what? We're not great for each other, but you're a great dad. And I will never badmouth you in front of the children. And he has also, when he comes to pick up the boys, we have a little family meeting, and he asked me how they've been behaving, and what they're going to do with their dad for the weekend depends on how they've been treating and been respectful to me. And he will tell them, stop giving your mother a hard time. We love our children, and we want what's best for them. And so we just made a decision to always put them first.
Yeah.
Because the time that you have with your children, although it's trying, it is short. My oldest is rising 9th grade, and I can't believe he's going to high school. So in 4 years, he'll be gone. So I just try to make the most of that. And, I always try to play the long game.
Yeah.
And any little, things happen, things come up. You just communicate, be an adult about it, and just keep the kids first.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Thank
but
you.
did you guys go through an ugly phase, though?
Well, the first year was hard. Yeah. The first year was hard. I mean, a little bit of.
I'm not taking it too personal, but it's just, I do not hear many people say that we were, like, even the way it flowed out of your mouth, we're amicably divorced. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's one step at a time. I mean, it's funny. Sometimes people don't know that we are divorced because at every parent-teacher conference
You're
or
there.
school program, we're sitting, right there. But yeah, I mean, I met my ex-husband when I was 18, and so that's
Enough
half of
said.
my
There you
life.
go.
Right.
Okay.
And so, it's great. He's happily remarried now, and I'm intentionally, single and focusing on the children
I love
until
it.
they're up and out.
love it.
They deserve 100% of me.
Love it. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we are going to come back and talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is entrepreneurship, because once again, I did mention that this beautiful lady is an entrepreneur, and that's like one of my passions. So we'll be right back in a few minutes. You're listening to Doni Jones, actually a few seconds, I should say. You're listening to Doni Jones Live. I am Doni the Tree Lady. This is Margret Brown, and we'll be right back.
It's Doni Jones Live, Doni Jones Live. It's Doni Jones Live, Doni Jones Live.
Welcome back. I am Doni the Tree Lady. By the way, I know you guys are wondering, where's Marty McFly? He's taking care of some business and making stuff happen, so he ain't going nowhere. We just had an opportunity to talk with this beautiful young lady, and we wanted to share her story. So thank you guys for joining us. By the way, check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Like, share, and subscribe. We love that you guys communicate with us. The other thing is, if you have some comments about the show, reach out to us at 1-888-349-DONI. That's 1-888-349-DONI. Or as Marty would like to say, 1-888-FIX-DONI. I'm going to hurt him. I'm still going to change that somehow, some way. But thanks again for checking out our show. Once again, we're talking to Margret Brown, and we were talking about her amazing weight loss. She's a lady that has lost 50 pounds. She's also a lady that has found a way to have a happy divorce. She's also a lady that has found a way to thrive during the pandemic. And we're going to talk a little bit about that because she also owns a small business with the Cincy Corporation, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So, as I said before, I love all things about the home. And the first thing that anyone realizes when they come into your home is how it smells.
Yeah.
And so I've always been like a candle lover. And so I was introduced to Scentsy. Scentsy is a home-based business. It's a party business. And I was invited to a party. I love the products. And so now I'm an independent consultant as well. I sell a lot online now. I used to do a lot of vendor events, but with the pandemic, that kind of
You're like,
slowed
I don't want
down.
to be around no people.
Right. But we have, for example, this is our June warmer of the month. And Scentsy, it's very simple. Our signature item are little bricks of wax that you put into our warmer or any warmer, and it just lights up with a light bulb. You plug it in, and it's a safe way to have fragrance all the time, so you don't have to worry about an open flame.
This.
Yes,
when
absolutely.
we finish, I need this.
So we've got a lot. If you go to my website, it's smellgoodstuff.org. You'll see everything that we have there. We have a lot of options for the car, fresheners, for sprays, for oils. If you have a diffuser, anything fragrance related, I'm your Scentsy lady.
Yes, and I got the oils, and they are so good. They smell. You know what I like about you all's product? It's like, it smells good, but then it lingers. There's so many times that I've bought stuff that smells good, and I'm like, okay, an hour later, I'm like, you can't smell anything.
You're right.
So
It's
what
very
makes you all's product different?
Well, the Scentsy oils are 100% natural, and they're very concentrated. A little goes a long way. So even on this bar of wax with 8 cubes, each cube will give you at least about 10 hours of fragrance, approximately. And it fills the space. You don't want to have to lean over and I think I smell something.
Yeah.
You want the whole space to permeate. And so I have a different scent in every room of the house, and they're really high quality. So if you reach out to me, I'd be happy to send you a sample in the mail.
And she does. She's good people. Now, being an entrepreneur and balancing, being a woman that is in corporate America, how are you able to do that? And you're a mom. And I know you said that your health has helped you with that, but still there's that little thing called time.
That is true, and I do a lot, and it's not for everybody, but I'm very intentional about doing what I enjoy. So, like I said, I went to a party and I love the products, and so I'm going to use Scentsy regardless. So I'm a Scentsy consultant. As part of my travels, I stayed in an Airbnb as a guest when I went to Australia, and then had an amazing...
You better throw that out there like that. You're so fancy. Go ahead.
Fancy.
When I was in Australia,
I love Sydney. It was amazing. I was invited to a wedding. It was amazing. So I did. I went alone. I was there for 11 days, and I stayed as a guest in my first Airbnb because I always thought that whole sharing economy was kind of weird. Who's going to stay in your house? I had a wonderful empty nester older couple that hosted me and made me feel like part of the family and got me set up on the train and everything. And I remember talking to them, and they're like, "Oh, Margret, you should do this. You meet such lovely people." And I was like,
wait a minute. It was the people in Australia that told you about Scentsy?
No, that told me about Airbnb.
Oh, Airbnb. Okay, I was getting ready to say. Okay.
So I thought, this is great, but no one would stay with me. I'm out in the suburbs. I'm not on the train line. I got these 2 crazy boys. Who's going to stay in my home? And my floor plan has 2 masters, so I have kind of like an in-law suite that I don't use. Yeah. And I just decided to try it, and I've been booked ever since. And
Love it.
Yeah, that's the other business that I do. So my point in saying that is fragrance is something that I love. Hosting people. My mom is a retired home economics teacher.
Okay.
And so kind of that domestic and homemaking gene is just, who I am. I do enjoy it. And so the business is what I would do even if it weren't a business.
Oh my gosh, you just brought life. Can I just sit in the sun and just... By the way, guys, we are shooting this in her beautiful yard. I will be doing some tree work for her.
Yes.
We'll get a little picture of before and after once that's done. But you just said something that strikes me. The same thing happened with me. Like, I grew up in the tree care industry, and I loved it until I became a teenager. And then I was like, I don't want to do all of this. I don't want to be dirty. I want to get fancy. But then once I transitioned into adulthood, I was like, I love being outside. I love meeting people every day. I love, it's different every day. And I love working with men, and it just fits my personality. But the other thing was that I love talking to people. And I actually went to college to go into journalism because I wanted to interview people and tell people stories.
Yeah.
I saw Oprah when I was in high school, and I was like, I want to do that. But if I drop out of high school and then I go into sales and marketing and then I go into business, how am I ever going to get this thing together to share people's stories? Well, that's where the internet came into play. That's where meeting people like Marty came into play. So kind of like with your story, it's something I love doing, but it's something I was familiar with and knew that I loved. And I think that tells a story about how people think that they got to go someplace else to do something, or they've got to completely change who they are. You actually are doing who you are. You're doing something that fits
who I am.
Exactly, exactly. Now, did you realize that when you first got into your businesses, or did it take you a while to figure out that, wait a minute, my life just kind of started falling together, into place?
It was one of those things, after the divorce, I just started exploring and traveling and doing what I wanted to do. And it was, something that I experienced as either, a party guest or an Airbnb guest. And I decided, I should try it because I'm not afraid to try things. In our community, a lot of times fear will hold you back, fear of the unknown. And so, I'm not a risk taker per se, but I'm very curious.
Wait a minute. You went to Ghana, you went to Australia, you went to the Dominican Republic, you started 2 businesses, and you're an executive in corporate America, but you're not a risk taker?
Okay, maybe that was the wrong word choice, but I don't see that as risky. I see it as maybe more adventurous.
I like that.
And so I'm all for adventure. And I know a lot of times when I travel alone, people will be following me online and they'll say, is that for work? No. Are you there alone? Yes. I can't believe you did that. And then by the end of the trip, they're like, man, I wish I would have come. We only get one turn at this thing called life. And I'm determined to make the absolute most of it. And so I do. I love to get out there and explore, and I'm just getting started.
I love that. Now, with your small business, because that's kind of where my heart is at, what advice would you give to somebody that's kind of in the beginning stages? Because you've been doing yours for a while, but there's people that start a business and go, oh, well, this doesn't work because they're not making money yet. What would you say to that?
So we'll use Airbnb as an example. I would say find your niche, and I'll just give some tips into what I did to kind of make mine successful. So like I said, I'm out in the suburbs. I have an in-law suite in my home that, is not used anymore. And I decided to research the area. I wanted to be competitive with the local hotels. So I found out what the hotels were charging, and I cut it by about 50% to start. As my business grew, I did raise my price just as the demand was going, but to start. And then if you've ever stayed at an Airbnb or any of these sharing communities, when you check out, when the reservation is over, they send a survey to the host and they send a survey to the guest. And so I would always read the feedback. And, if I had guests that were, available to chat, I'd ask them, what made you choose, my home? And so I would tweak things. Or if someone said, it would be nice to know, for example, what restaurants in the area, I would add to my suite, a little menu. So I customized it based on the feedback that I was getting. And then I looked at what was going well, and I looked at what was, something that I can improve upon. And I found my sweet spot. And for me, it sounds crazy, but my sweet spot is millennial, usually like male, older students. So like in the late 20s to early 30s, graduate students. I've had a medical student who's been down here on rotation. I had an amazing police officer who was in the police academy because, they've got something to do. They really just kind of need a place to study, sleep, and shower, and they're gone. And so I've customized it that way. I do have sometimes people will come and make a little staycation out of it, but usually long-term, 4, 6, 8, 10 months has been my my repeat business. So I learned what worked for me.
But you know what you did that's so smart? And people pay hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars for the information that you just gave away for free. You listened to your customers, and then she tailor-made her marketing to attract the customer that she already had. And so that, I hate that we're going into our last segment, but I want to just tap on that a little bit, and maybe even talk a little bit about faith. But we're going to take a quick break real quick. You're listening to Doni Jones Live again with Margret Brown. She's an amazing woman, and I hope you guys are really getting some out of this. And if you are, please call 1-888-349-DONI. That's 1-888-349-DONI. Let me know what you think. Also, go on Instagram, YouTube, anything Doni Jones Live, D-O-N-I, Doni Jones Live. and leave a comment. Please like, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate your support, and we love for you guys to also share these stories with your friends and family members that might be able to be helped by Margret's story. We'll be right back.
It's Doni Jones Live, Doni Jones Live. It's Doni Jones Live, Doni Jones Live.
Welcome back to Doni Jones Live. I am Doni the Tree Lady, and once again we are here with Miss Margret Brown, kind of wrapping things up. But one thing I do want to mention is that you do have this amazing spirit and this energy and this glow about you. And I always we try to end the show talking a little bit about faith and spirituality. For those of you that know, Marty is a pastor. I am not the religious one. I'm more the spiritual one. He's more of the religious one. But it's important for us to talk about faith because I truly believe that I would not be here if it were not for some type of spiritual practice and having connections to a higher power that I call God. How has your spirit or your faith worked for you, or is it even important to you in what you do?
It is. It's paramount. It's fundamental to how I live my life and start my day. I was raised in the Presbyterian church. I now attend a non-denominational church.
Do they have white people in the Presbyterian church?
No.
I'm just
Okay, I shouldn't say no, but yeah.
I'm just saying.
My family was one of the few, but it was an amazing.
Y'all family was rich, huh?
No, my parents were students. No, not at all. But
I'm trying to put it all together. No, I'm just kidding.
Definitely not. My parents were immigrants and came here
and
with
got
nothing.
Rich. No, just kidding. Y'all, I'm messing with her. I'm gonna leave her alone. I'm gonna let her tell her story.
Well, I mean, they came as students, and I watched my parents. They are now retired, but they both have PhDs, and I watched my mom.
Smart people.
Very smart, and that. I grew up in academia. I grew up in Athens, Georgia, go Dogs. And I grew up on the university campus. And so I saw my parents work and put themselves through school. And they took us to church on the weekends. I have one older brother. And so I grew up, singing in the youth choir, going to, vacation Bible school. I mean, all of that really imprinted me as a child. And I remember when I was in college, I would listen to, tapes or whatever I could to get a message because I worked my way through school. I'm a Spelman alum. So I went to school during, yes, I went to school during the week and then worked on the weekend. So I wasn't able to attend church. And I remember that was one of my driving thoughts about, I want to get a 9-to-5 job so that I can go to church.
Wow.
So that's kind of how I've been corporate since college. And so, I am a Christian, and I do love the Lord. It is important to me. I struggled when I was going through my divorce of kind of feeling like, maybe I failed God or God was mad at me.
Wow.
And so that really took a turn for me actually, reading the Word every day. I have the Bible app on my phone, and every year I go through the entire Bible. And it's really easy. It's literally just a few scriptures every morning, and I can say, Alexa, open the Bible app, and it'll read to me. So as I'm getting ready, I always start with the Word just to kind of ground me.
Right.
And I do attend church, every weekend. And I like to visit different churches.
Yeah.
For me, it's important to not so much focus on the people, but the connection.
Yeah.
I love the praise and worship.
See, I love praise and worship. I just don't like the people. So I just listen to Kirk Franklin on YouTube.
Well,
but
people,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just messing with you.
No, it's true. People are people, and they will disappoint you.
We're all human.
We are all human. And reading the Bible, a lot of times, sometimes in church you'll hear the same message kind of repeated over and over again. But what I really like about reading the Bible for yourself, especially in the Old Testament, there's so much that depicts how humans have not changed. Our human nature is the same. We were doing the same stuff. So for me, it was actually very comforting to realize that these great people in the Bible struggled, just like I do. So,
well, the other thing that, and I'm glad you brought up reading the Bible. When I actually read the few passages that I have read, when I started reading it for myself, a lot of the stuff that people were saying the Bible says, it didn't say.
Right.
Or people's interpretation of what God said, that's not what God said. And I'm glad you brought up the feelings you had when you went through the divorce. I truly believe that, especially in our community, we stay in bad relationships.
Oh my God.
And that doesn't mean the other person is necessarily bad. It just may not be the right fit. And then sometimes the person is bad, and sometimes they are toxic, because in our head we go, oh, well, it's against God for me to divorce. And I don't believe that that's the God we serve.
No.
In fact, it's not that I don't believe. I know that is not the God. It's not a belief. I know that God does not want you in an unhealthy, toxic relationship where you don't feel alive, loved, taken care of, and your heart is handled.
Absolutely. I mean, when you find yourself, smiling to the public, but then crying every day, when you're wearing that mask, when you're doing everything to make everyone else happy, but on the inside you're miserable, that's not the God that we serve. And the God that we serve doesn't want us to be miserable. I absolutely believe in marriage and love marriage. And I was, very sad to not, be married anymore. But I am a better mother, and I'm a better version of myself now. And I realized there was a lot of work that I had to do, and I had to be accountable for, my part of why the marriage didn't work. But, I definitely, would support anybody to do what's best for them, especially if you have children, be very sensitive to that. If you can work it out, work it out.
If you can work it out, I definitely believe in working it out. But before we wrap up, I think that you're going to really help somebody. When you were having those feelings and about feeling guilty about the divorce and things not working out, how did you overcome that to make a choice that was right for you and what you knew was right for your kids?
Yeah, that was tough. I mean,
that's another show, y'all.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
That's a decision. I mean, I went to therapy. I'm a big believer in getting counsel. I mean, we did do, therapy with the church, but I also went to, individual therapy. We went to couples therapy. And, when you I call it taking trips around the mountain, when you kind of find yourself in the same place, time after time again, and you're not getting any better, decisions have to be made.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at, my children, like I said, the boys were 2 and 4 when we divorced, and I didn't want to spend those formative years worrying and fussing about something when, they needed me to be 100% present. So it was, a painful decision, but, it was a decision that, we made. And like I said, I sat with their dad and said, whatever happened between us is between us. I will never use that to poison the children. Whatever beautiful relationship they have with you will be, the one that you all form together. And so, we talked about it. And even though, on paper, he has every other weekend, he gets the boys, every weekend. And like I said, we do everything together.
Awesome.
We talk multiple times during the week. We'll text. And so it was tough, but, it's one of those things you kind of have to walk through that storm and that dark place, but it doesn't have to be bad.
It doesn't have to be bad. And you said something so important, and I want you guys to pick this up. We have to do the work. And I think that's sometimes when people, if I can help somebody not suffer as much. Now, there's some suffering that will help you become a better person and you got to work through it. But there's other suffering that's self-inflicted that you don't have to go through. And sometimes you have to love yourself enough to make those hard decisions to let go. I did a talk a couple years ago and it was, well received, and it was called Love Yourself Enough to Let Go. And sometimes we don't love ourselves and we don't let go because we have more concern about the other person than we do ourselves. So was there a point where you had to go, wait a minute, this isn't healthy for me and this is not me loving myself? In order for you to make that decision to let go? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, my natural disposition, I'm a very optimistic person. I'm joyful, I'm happy. And when I found myself not like that, more often than not, I knew something had to change. I'm not a snappy person, but I was snapping. I'm not an anxious person, but I had that, anxiety, and I was like, this is not me. And so I'm so glad that now I'm becoming a better, version of myself.
You glowing, girl. And it ain't because it's hot out here. Okay?
Yeah, it's a beautiful day.
It is gorgeous.
It's a beautiful day.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, and so I wanted that. And I know sometimes the fear of the unknown, and especially when you've been with someone a long time. You know,
How long were you guys together before you got divorced?
So I met my ex-husband at 18, and I was 36 when I 35. So half of my life.
Yeah.
With
Wow.
one person. And
Yeah.
so it was a huge, decision. But, I'm happy to say, not only do we co-parent, I still have a good relationship. I still call them in-laws,
Aww.
and our extended family, and my ex-husband is welcome, at my parents' house. And, I think everybody sees the work that we put into the boys, and, I'm feeling better and doing better, and I definitely want nothing but happiness for him. Even
That's
though
great.
we weren't great for each other, he's still a good person, I'm a good person, and we can go on and
That's
always
awesome.
Still be family.
Now, do you think part of your journey with the weight loss has also been because of you letting go of the baggage, or was that totally a separate thing?
And I carried weight, and I noticed when I look back now, I was up and down with weight. I mean, of course, there's the baby weight from the children, but I know I'm an emotional eater.
Oh, girl, who you telling?
Yeah.
And that's the other thing about this show, guys. We want to be honest. I'm an emotional eater too. And how did that manifest for you?
Oh my gosh, I had a certain stash in the bedroom. I mean, all of us have our stash, and when you put the kids down, then finally, because when you have kids, they're always like, "Mommy, what's that? Can I have some?" And
Yeah.
you're tired of sharing sometimes.
Yeah,
Sometimes
yeah.
you just want those potato chips or that chocolate or whatever it is for yourself. And I got into that bad habit of, when the kids would go down, then it's like, okay, finally it's my time to do everything I want to do. But, we already talked about how it made me feel. I don't think that the divorce played into the weight loss, because I've been divorced now 10 plus years.
Okay, so that was, It was just, so for you, the weight loss was just, I want to feel better.
I have
and so
to
you
feel
did
better.
it for you.
I did it 100% for me.
I love it.
I'm so happy that I did.
If y'all can see her face right now, she did it for her. And that's what I want you all to do. We are serious about this, getting ourselves healthy, getting ourselves happy, taking care of our body, our mind, our spirit. And I think that's what's so important about what you've done. You took care of your mind, your body, and your spirit. And you guys, 50 pounds is huge, but she didn't do it overnight.
No.
As she mentioned, she did it over a year's period. And I know that there's people that do it, in some strange short period of time, but does it last?
Right.
And she's given us advice on something that will last. If you guys have enjoyed this show, if you've gotten something out of this show, please leave a comment at 1-888-349-DONNIE. That's 1-888-349-DONNIE. Once again, reach out to Margret, and you can reach her at, what's your Instagram again?
Margret A. Brown.
Yes, and also check out her travel blog. She's an amazing, beautiful pictures.
Thank
Photography
you.
is your next phase in life.
Aww.
She's an amazing woman. But you guys, thank you for checking out our show. I am Doni the Tree Lady, your neighborhood certified arborist. If you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area, reach out to us at donstree.com. Otherwise, hook up with me at DoniJonesLive.com or any place on the internet, Doni Jones Live, DoniJones. Remember, DONI. And we'll be back next week just for you. Thanks for watching.